Welcome to Arts and Minds Online for session 14. And we got by 13 without any bad luck, I hope. And we're continuing with our cross-country, cross-Canada road trip. We've been to the Maritime provinces and in Quebec last week, and now we're in Ontario. My home province, and a home province for many of you. So, so much to choose from when I've started thinking about what would we do for Ontario. And there's, obviously comes to mind Niagara Falls, big cities, perhaps the CN Tower, Algonquin Park. There was just so much. But what I ended up thinking that I particularly think about Ontario and like about Ontario are all the many lakes. Our whole province is just sort of dotted with lakes and cottage areas. And I thought that was kind of unique and distinctive to Ontario. So that's what we're doing. This is our reference. This is one of our lakes. This is in the Kawartha Lakes area, which is an area, if you're not familiar with it, north of Peterborough. This is one of the waterways on the Trent Severn Canal, which is a very long canal. I looked it up. It's 386 kilometers connecting Lake Ontario with Georgian Bay, and it's an absolutely beautiful canal trip. I understand. I've never taken it, but I spent many summers at a cottage on this particular lake. This lake is Pigeon Lake, and I loved it. I particularly liked going out in the morning early in my canoe, and I took this picture one morning when the water was very calm and it was very peaceful, and I was sitting in the canoe, and you can see the pointy end there, and looking at this scene on this lake. It's a quite big lake. It's got several little islands, little bays, fun to canoe through. Lots of fish too, and I used to like doing that from the canoe. So we're going to do this lake scene, this Kawartha Lakes. I'm going to show you another, well, it's not exactly a reference, this is our reference, but just another idea, because it'll make a difference to the materials that you choose. I did this sort of fairly roughly, just the outline drawing, but I tried it with another time of the day, and I tried it doing a sunset. All right, so just to see how the different colors would work. So that's an option for you as well, okay, to do the sunset, and that will obviously, when you come to choose colors, this will make a difference to the colors that you choose. So this will be up, and perhaps we'll work it out so that this is shown as well from time to time. So the materials that you're going to need for this paper, I'm doing all of these cross-Canada pictures as sort of postcards, so they're all quite small. I think this is 9 by 6. So I'm doing them small because I just like the idea of it being a postcard. So you can choose whatever size you like. The paper, because I'm using watercolors, this is watercolor paper. If you're using acrylics, then you'll need a canvas board. If you're using pencils, colored pencils, then you can just ordinary paper will do. So if you're using paints, then you're going to need brushes. You don't need anything too big. Something like about that size to do the background in the water, and then something quite small to do the details. You need a pencil, of course, to do your sketch. If you're doing paints, water-based paints or acrylics, you need a cup of water and a paper towel. The colors that you need for this are really just sort of something to make a gray, black, white, a little bit of blue. You're going to, and I put a bit of yellow in here on the horizon, so you might need that. You need green, and that's pretty much it. If you're doing the sunset, then you have to be a little bit bolder, and get something that's going to give you a purple, something that gives you orange, red. So that your color palette might be a bit different if you're doing that. So now's the time to check the list that will be up and gather up your materials, and then when you're ready, come on back. Okay, I'd love to know what you chose. If you chose the early morning scene or the sunset scene, the only way I'm going to know that if you send me some samples of what you've done. So I keep harping away at that. So I hope you will. All right, let's take a look. No matter what time of the day you've chosen to do yours, we will start with a line drawing. Line drawing is just this today. It's not very complicated drawing. The horizon line at the back. When you're doing a horizon line on a landscape like this, it's best not to have it right in the, although this is awfully close to middle. I like it to be a little bit below middle, a little bit above middle. So I'm hoping this is a bit below. So got a horizon line. You've got this little island here. This is sort of the major, this is the focal point. And a pine tree here. I've just instead of doing sort of pointy branches, I've just done sort of shapes. There's a little modern look to this. I kind of like it. So, but you can draw your pine tree. I've put another couple of little ones on this island, and then in the distance, some smaller islands with some trees on them, and also in the far distance. There are some rolling hills as well, but very far away. All right. Then you don't have to put the canoe in, but for me that was important. So this is just showing the end of the canoe as I'm sitting back here looking at the scene. All right. So take a pause and do your line drawing, and then come back. Okay, this is the one I'm going to do. This is the reference I'm going to do. So we're going to start by painting this, and we'll start with the sky first. And it is really a dull, well, not dull, it's just an early morning. It's not bright, sunny day. It's a bit of a gray day. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to, let me just get my reference so that I have it handy. Okay, so I'm just going to start just putting in some gray. It's a bit darker, I think, than the reference, but the thing with watercolor is it lightens when it dries. So again, and it doesn't matter if you sort of go over this this tree a bit. The dark green will cover it up. So and I'm just going to put a number of strokes of this. Clean my brush. Maybe a little more. And leaving again some white. Okay. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of blue, but not too pronounced. Sort of a light blue. I might even put a little white with that, just to make sure that it's really quite light. There is some blue sky starting to show. Maybe there's a little blue sky up here starting to show. Maybe even in here as well. Okay, over here. Just come down a bit. Okay, I'm going to stop that for a second, although I think I don't like that line there, so I'm just going to drag this down a bit. Okay, because we're close to the horizon, and it's starting to get very light, and the sun is, the sun is there, peeking through. So I'm going to add just a little bit of light yellow, and I don't want it. Let's test that out a bit. Sometimes good when you're doing this to have a paper beside you and just test your color on it before you put it on the picture. So just a hint of yellow there on the horizon. And come over here, a little hint of yellow. Bring it up into the blue a bit. Not too far though. All right. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it at that for a second. So why don't we pause there, and I'll give that a chance to dry a bit, and you paint your sky. Okay, how's it going? All right, I'm going to do the water now, and the water is just going to reflect the sky. So I'm going to start, because this is the immediate reflection here of the yellow. So put that in first. And I know this is very faint. I know you can hardly see it, but I really want it to be faint at the moment. Yeah, I could put a little more on, I guess. Okay. And then I said blue comes next, a little bit of blue. Again, light, so I'll mix up a little bit of white with it, and just have a little bit of blue here. Blending them together. I'm going to use this a flat part of the brush here because the water is sort of very calm. Okay. I'm using it flat. Okay, and then I'm going to get into the gray. Oh, I meant to do something with this. I meant to bring this a little closer so that perhaps you can get it a little late, but anyway. Okay, let's get into the gray here now. Whoops. Gray enough. There we go. Again, using sort of the flat part of the brush. Not the pointy point. Just dragging it across. Okay, I'm just going to, because I found this just a little too abrupt here, so I'm just going to use a clean brush and just let that blend a bit. It'll take some of the paint away, but it'll just, I didn't like that sort of sharp line there. All right. Anyway, all right, time to stop that and let you try painting your water. Okay, now, before we do anything with reflections here, I'm going to do the trees. I'm not pausing as you pause, so mine is still very, very wet. So we're going to do the trees. And the trees, because it's sort of early morning and they are in the distance, although they are green, they look very dark in the distance. They look almost black, actually. Sort of silhouetted almost. So I'll start up here, a good place to start. Oops, that's not very dark enough. Now let's try that. Still think it should be darker. And this is where you could be a little bit creative with your, you know, you might add points there. It might also be an idea with this to put some different sort of shades of you know, I'm gonna come back to this and add some really dark parts of it after it dries a bit. But this is okay for now. Okay. And we'll do these little tiny little trees while we're at it. This far one over here and over here. They're sitting on little islands as well, so just make very dark there as well. Just show just very small because they're far away. So, and this island, which is a bit closer, this is sort of rocks, a bit more greenery as well. So you can that's perhaps a little too dark. Pull that off. Come back to that in a minute. But while I've still got this on my brush, I am going to do these little hills in the background, the horizon. And I can't, well, I can reach, but not comfortably. All right. Should be a fairly straight line if you can do that. Not like that. Straight line on the horizon across that. Okay, let me just come back to this. Choose another brush here. A little brush. I'm just going to take a little of that off. I think I've made it too dark, that island. Want it a little more gray. Might even put a little bit of sort of a brownie in there as well, because it is kind of rocks and just so there's a little variety of color there. Okay, I think that's better. All right. Okay, time to pause and let you paint your trees. Okay, now, and you will see in the reference, this is a good time for you to go back to and take a look at your tree. As I look at this one now, I would like to go back and really put some really darker highlights on it here and there. And you don't want these to be all just one solid color. I think that's a little bit better. It stands out. Maybe even this one. Those over there, you don't want them too pronounced because they're so far away. Okay, a little bit there. Okay, all right. So it's now time to, we're going to leave the canoe until the very end. There are reflections in the water. You can see that from the reference. And so with reflections, we're going to make them sort of a dark gray color. This tree is going to have a reflection. So does the rock. So when you're doing reflections, just not too detailed, just a hint of that this is a reflection. And it's not sort of even because the water it's kind of flowing with the water. So just the water breaks it up is what I'm trying to say. So if this is the tree, okay, just make kind of a jagged line going down like this. And then the branches You don't need to put them all in, just to indicate that that's the reflection of that tree. Okay. Well, a little darker. Again, over here, this is going to be a reflection of this tree, and it's a wavy line, like the waves in the water. Okay, those are the reflections. Maybe these need to be a little bit darker to show up here. And then do the same thing over here, all right? But again, not too much, because it's so far away. You don't really want those to be highlighted very much. So, okay, take a minute and do your reflections. Okay, now finally the canoe. This canoe was blue, and so this is the front part of the canoe. So this is sort of a solid blue, this part here. And then the seat, also blue, a little bit lighter. This is the seat here, the front seat. I was sitting in the back seat. This is the front seat. And in between these struts here, this is the side of the canoe, blue. And this is sort of underneath part here. So I'm going to take a little color off here, because this is just maybe a little bit too dark. Okay, and I just indicate that this is underneath. So a little more off there, just to show there's a difference between this and this. Okay, I think that's fine. If you want, with because these are sort of I don't know what you call them, the struts that hold the seat. So if you want, you might even with a marker just sort of show what those are. You can't paint them; they're metal. Okay, so just sort of show it that way. Anyway, you can certainly see by the shape that it is a canoe. Okay, all right. So take a minute and finish your canoe. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed being on Pigeon Lake in the Kawartha Lakes. I enjoyed reminiscing about being on Pigeon Lake in the Kawartha Lakes. This was fun. It was fun for me to look at the pictures from the times that I spent there. So I'm just going to go back to the reference for a minute and ask you to, when you're finished, sign it and put the date, and then send us a photo of what you've done, because we'd love to see what you're doing. We'd love to see what you chose, whether you chose this or the sunset one. All right. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to next week when we'll move to Manitoba. So in the meantime, take care.